when you talk about high quality, are you saying that people have to spend a lot of money on that? Or
not always.
Are
no.
you saying that you have to be intentional with the way that you're shooting?
Hey guys, welcome to Be Original with Isley Creative,
where we discuss all things marketing. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy.
Welcome back, everybody. It's season 3 of Be Original Podcast. My name is OJ.
I'm Christian.
We're really excited that you're here. Clearly, Christian is very excited.
Yeah.
You look so depressed. Anyways, I feel like am I turned the wrong way? I don't know. Turned up. I'm really excited that everybody's here. Thank you for joining us. Season 3, we are talking all about content. Mm-hmm. Super excited about everything that's happening this season. Got a lot of cool stuff coming. And today we're going to talk about a specific kind of content. Not really specific, but it's more of on the lines of saying, okay, we're out of one side of our mouth, we're telling them they have to create tons and tons of content. And then on the other side of the mouth, we're saying, but wait, there still is there's content that you want to do on your own, but then there's also content that you should be doing that are a little bit more higher quality than the selfies on Instagram and the photos that you're taking with your phone.
Yeah.
Why do we have to do it that way?
Well, I think, shooting for quality is never something that you shouldn't do. But unless you're in a multi-billion-dollar company, chances are you can't afford to hire, a crew, a production company, whatever, to do every piece of content that you need to put out there. And so the whole point is that we're pushing this consistency, and if you can't afford to have that consistency with outsourcing it, then it's not worth it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not worth the production value and all that stuff. So what we're kind of getting at is that there are certain things that represent your brand or your product or service or whatever that should be clean, that should be nice and well produced, because they're like kind of the forefront, right? They're the forefront. This is probably usually the first thing that people are going to see of your brand or your product, breaking it down from there. The day-to-day stuff, the podcasts, the things like that, those are okay to like just DIY it forever. You know what I mean? Like those things, just for the sake of consistency and not breaking the budget and not spending a ton of money that is not necessarily going to bring a specific financial return to your company, right?
Sure.
But when it comes to things where you're going to have opportunity to have media buys and product placements and product displays and in-store displays and booths at trade shows and things like that. This is where you want to get into quality, like high quality content. This is where you want to actually spend your budgets. And that's kind of what I wanted to get into, because the whole season we're kind of doing this balancing act of talking about constant content, but then and being able to do things on your own, which we will get into at the end of the season. We'll be able to walk you through how to do some of these things on your own. But then there's that flip side. Is like, okay, if you only have, X amount of dollars to spend this quarter on content, on whatever it might be, and maybe you have a new product coming out, this is the opportunity, is like take those dollars, spend it on the product, content for that product, for your product release and media buy and things like that. Anything that you're putting money behind to get out there, I really feel like just you need to take it to that next level.
Okay, are you saying though that when you talk about high quality, are you saying that people have to spend a lot of money on that? Or
not always.
Are you saying that you have to be intentional with the way that you're shooting or the way that you're filming something?
I think you have to be intentional. I think you need to use the right equipment and have the right people with the expertise needed to have the right image quality and the right effectiveness. These are opportunities where you need to have a director that's taking your thoughts and putting them in a way that they can tell a story visually, or You need the right DP that can find the right camera and the right lenses and the right lighting to really showcase, whatever it is, a product or your service in the best light. Again, you talk about how much content is out there. These are really the pieces that you want to shine and to cut through the noise and to connect with the humans. And this is where you get with the humans, like we're aliens, to connect human to human. And these are the opportunities where, it's just like anything. Like you can do your own taxes for a while, right? But then maybe you get to the point where you own a business or you started a business or you have all these other complications in your taxes, and your best bet is to hire an accountant that knows taxes, right?
Sure.
Like this is where I think that same thing comes into play, where you come into this opportunity where maybe you have a product and you have an opportunity to have an in-store display at Best Buy or Gander Mountain or something like that. And you want that stuff to be the most eye-catching, the most, just stop people in their tracks. Same thing with running ads on Instagram or Facebook or things. Like you want people to recognize that this is just not one of their friends posting. You know what I mean? Or this is not just some Joe Schmo recycled product video, but something that really showcases and bullet points your services, your products, things like that. And so these are the things that have that thumb-stopping power, and that, it's just really like a differentiator between what you're seeing on a regular basis as you're scrolling or walking through a store, or even watching things online, streaming with ads or whatever it is. These are the opportunities you have to stop people in their tracks.
Sure. I think that's the biggest thing. And quite frankly, it's probably the hardest thing in our business to really deal with is, why is it that it costs so much for us to do stuff like this?
Yeah.
And like you said, I think the reality is people don't necessarily understand all of this work that goes into a video, creating a video, even 15 seconds long, behind the scenes, what all it entails.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think when it really comes down to it, if you want to set yourself apart from even your competitors, other people in your industry, you've got to, you just have to one up them, everybody else.
Yeah.
And that may not, you could be in an industry that nobody does video content for.
Yeah.
A perfect example is the other day I was going through Instagram. I came across an ad for this construction company. And I thought it was really interesting because I had never seen a general contractor buy ad space on Instagram. And it literally, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, he's probably one of the very few general contractors out there that takes the time to go through his house, the houses that he's building or remodeling or whatever, and taking footage and putting it on, some nice text flying stuff and on a nice music bed. That's it. That's it right there.
Yeah. Well, you get to a point where you are finding people that know how to tell the story in the right way, and to answer that, why is it so expensive? We can break it down right now. Like what you're paying for is specialized people in specialized areas. Sure. Most of the time, if you find the right people in the right companies, there's a lot of people out there that are just charging what they charge because everybody else does it. But quite honestly, if you think you have 5 people on set as crew, which is a medium-sized crew, right? You're paying for each one of those people for the day, and they can't take any other jobs. So you can't pay them hourly because they're not going to book 8 jobs in a day. Most of the time something isn't going to take an hour or two, and you have to consider driving, and nobody's coming to their office because most of the time these guys are freelance, right?
Yeah.
People aren't shooting that many videos to where most of these guys are working every single day either. So you have to consider those rates are probably higher than what you would pay, a plumber to come in and work on plumbing, right? So you think about all these things, and each of these guys has a specialty. You have your producer who, organizes everything, pulls the crew together, deals with the locations and all the logistics of the shoot, and works with the director and the client to nail down the creative and figure out what the expenses for the creative are. And that could be anything from props, different lighting, different things like that. And then you have obviously your director who's responsible for taking the idea and visualizing it and developing a treatment and saying this is how we're going to express what you're showing or talking about. And then you have your director of photography, who is the one that's responsible for taking the client and director's vision and making it happen on screen, right?
Yeah.
And then you have your gaffer, who's responsible for lighting and making sure everything is balanced and you have the right light to create the right mood and the right look. And then you have grips to help the gaffer, and on and on and on. You have the sound guy who's making sure that everything is crisp and clean. And I mean, as many of you know, when you watch a video and the sound's not great, the video's not great, even if it looks beautiful. So all these things go hand in hand. And when you don't have somebody to fill each of those roles, something suffers, right?
Yeah.
So it gets expensive because you're talking 5 people for a whole day. It's not like they're working every single day. So they have to book based on what their bills are. It's the same thing with every company. You have to budget based on 30 days out. So if you only book a certain amount of jobs, sometimes your rates are going to go up. Sometimes this is going to happen. Sometimes they're going to go down. Sometimes, it's all over the place. So that's kind of the world we live in, and that's just the bare minimum. Then you have equipment. Imagine the amount of money that people are spending on equipment. So it's just like any other job, any other business. You're billing, breaking down your equipment costs and billing that out, and you're breaking down overhead costs and you're billing that out. So there's all of these things that come into play, and people are surprised when a video costs what it costs. Then that's just to shoot it. And that doesn't even include the pre-production time. So your producer and your director who are working on things before the shoot.
Right.
And then you have the post-production time where your editor's coming in, and you have potentially colorists and sound mixers and all these guys that are all getting their hands on something. And so that it starts to get way up there. And it's way cheaper than it used to be. I mean, a commercial would cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, and sometimes it still does. But it's come down because so many people are doing it. It's kind of like this, the industry's kind of leveling out, right? But it's really just one of those things where this is why it costs so much. This is why we recommend to do as much on your own as possible. And this is why we're talking about this now. Here's kind of a list of videos that you want to spend money on.
The value of that content and what it really means to your business, and really getting down to tracking all of that and really knowing why it's valuable to spend that money, and making sure that you're actually your plan of attack, right, for that content that you're spending that money on is actually impacting whatever bottom line it is that you're trying to impact, whether it's awareness or selling a product or whatever it is. You're impacting that bottom line, and you're going into that, or you could say you're coming out of that video with very specific benchmarks on what it is that you're trying to measure. And that's how you'll continue to be successful in paying for the content that you're creating. Right? I think that made sense when I'm thinking about it. My brain is going.
Yeah, you're setting your expectations before you spend a dime.
Sure.
That's
yes,
really what
absolutely.
it boils down to, and you need to do that, and you need to understand what expectations are reality. And and that's some of the stuff we talked about last season of just knowing what your content is meant for, in what stage of the buyer's journey, and how you measure that stage, right? Because you can't measure an awareness-based piece on a conversion rate.
Let's have some fun. What's been some fun content that we've shot that we would consider the high-quality stuff that we've had some freedom in doing, creative?
Can we say the names?
Yeah. Sure, I don't care.
Well, it depends on what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
Because real high quality this year were a couple really large companies that were doing content for their trade show booths through an agency that we partner with, and you'll actually hear from that agency
at
this
some
season.
point in this season. Yeah.
But yeah, those I won't say those names because they're not our clients, but really just really eye-catching, attention-grabbing content that was used on LED screens in their booth at this trade show, and Just really cool stuff. It was a 2-day shoot.
Yep.
And we had, 12-man crew, right?
Yeah, ish, yeah.
Something like that. All of those titles that I mentioned earlier. And, I mean, it was one of the smoothest shoots we've done, and it just looked amazing. It was commercial quality.
Yeah.
We really just got to get into every detail, which is another huge thing that determines budget, right? You know, for instance, with this one, we were in an office, and they wanted it was a home office, and they wanted it to look a little more evening, but we had to shoot in the morning or like in mid-morning, late morning, something like that.
Late morning, yeah, something like that.
So it was really bright outside, and you know, this office was just all windows, and our gaffer was able to take some filters and put them on the windows, and just basically stop down the windows, which just means make them darker. So he was able to make it all darker.
It's like window tinting.
Yeah, like tinting basically.
Yeah.
Made it all darker, and we got exactly the feel we were looking for. He created this out of nothing. Like we had just bright sunlight coming in that room, and he made it look like the guy just got home from work. Like it was just really cool, really well done, and just awesome attention to detail. Where unlike a smaller budget shoot, we wouldn't have had the time or the resources to do that, or even the gaffer usually. And you would have just said, well, we have to make this look like daytime.
Yeah,
you know,
make do
like
with what
this.
we have.
So there's things like that, and it might seem little, but in the grand scheme of things, it was really important that looked like the right time of day.
Sure.
So it went along with the whole concept and premise and all of that. So the creative on that job was really big. We shot in a hospital. We shot at a house. It was just the 2 locations,
Just the
right?
2 places, yeah.
Over the 2 days, but we did multiple scenes in each location and different parts of the locations, and it was just a really cool, well put together shoot, and that kicked off our year this year, which was really awesome.
Yeah. We had a really busy first start of the year.
Yeah.
We were in Vegas. This a whole another type of content creation that we were in Vegas for one of our clients, and another agency partner that we have, and building that was a totally different look and feel than what we were just shooting not a week earlier for this other client that we just talked about. But yet it's still like, we had audio, we had a DP, we had a producer, and it was crazy 3 days.
Yeah.
But we got a ton of content.
Yep.
And we had to make do. That was the other part of it too. Like sometimes sometimes our clients pay for just the expertise in being able to accomplish what we accomplished in 3 days. I mean, we shot so much content in so many different scenarios, and we ended up having to turn, a beautiful suite in Vegas into a white room like this.
Two of them. Yeah.
And so it's,
have all these interviews look consistent, exactly the same.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't think about it because we do it so often, but when you look back at it, you're like, we had to turn these like amazing suites into white wall and
boring
and look identical. So each interview looked identical, and that was one of them. And then shooting in a
like a trade show floor,
and making that consistent and making sure that these people were well lit and you could hear them. And
going back to what we were talking about earlier, it's there are specific parts of content that you can and I would probably say need to spend some money on. And that doesn't mean that you have to hire a production company to do it. It just means that you have to spend the money or the time even to learn how to be able to accomplish those things on your own if that's what you want to do.
Yep.
Like buying a light and buying a microphone and buying a decent camera to shoot it on. Like those are the types of things that you want to invest in for your brand.
Yep.
And again, it's not about hiring a production company or anything like that. It's just about these are the types of things that you want to spend money on, as far as content is concerned.
Yeah.
So we have product videos, you have client testimonials is a big one. I would even go as far as to say it's like who we are videos that people do. Like the story behind your company or the story behind your brand. Like those are important to have good quality stuff, because that's the kind of stuff that potentially, if it's done, if it's shot well enough and in a high enough quality, those are the types of things that could last a decent amount of time. Because it is your story. That's not really going to change. It's just gonna evolve.
Yep.
Right. I mean, you want, obviously, when it comes to like anything that has to do with personnel in the HR world, in my opinion, like you want to spend money there because you're investing in the people that you're trying to attract and keep.
Yeah.
Like those are the things that people want to see.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about, it's not like it used to be where your benefits are what, I mean, I remember when your health care and or your vacation time and or your personal time off, like those were the deciding factors on whether or not I'm going to work with somebody. Now it's more about the purpose behind it. Like all of those things are obviously still part of the decision process for a human, but the other big piece of that is really getting to know your culture that you're representing. So the better quality, the better video or the better piece of content that you can create to display who you are, what you do, and why you do it is going to be beneficial to you in the long run, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Really thankful for you guys. We love you. I know we say it at the end and at the beginning of every episode, but we really do deeply appreciate your guys' time and watching this. Communication sometimes can get a little funny between us because he doesn't like me, but whatever. I'm just here doing my job, okay?
Oh my gosh.
Just kidding. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all those good things on subscribe on all the platforms. Be sure to stay tuned for next week's Be Original podcast. I'm OJ. Peace out.
Thanks again for checking out Be Original with Isley Creative.
You're the reason we do this, so be on the lookout for more tips and advice on your marketing strategy.